The Ravens draft tomorrow night is obviously of tremendous importance. It just cannot be overstated how necessary it is for the Ravens front office to hit a home run in the NFL draft, or at least a bases clearing double, maybe a bases clearing triple. But in any case, the Ravens must find some high level talent at whatever spots they choose to pick, guys who are ready to play and ready to contribute. And we all have our own opinion as fans on what position is of the utmost need. I understand if the very smart and astute Ravens fans want an outside linebacker edge rusher who can create more pressure against the pass. I get it. But I caution you that any evaluation of the Ravens' current set of pass rushers must be done with Wink Martindale's scheme in mind. We know that various guys have moved on from Wink's system and generated more pressure and sacks. Obviously thinking about Matt Judon and Zadarius Smith to a lesser extent, who I think did play 1 year in Wink Martindale's system. But I understand if someone wants to take an edge player at 14 and not trade back or anything like that, even though personally I do not agree with that. If someone wanted to take Jordan Davis at 14 to create an utterly dominant base defense with Pierce, Calais Campbell, and Jordan Davis, along with Matabike, working with Bowser and Oweh on the outside, Queen, Bynes, and Harrison rotating in some fashion at inside linebacker, I would understand that. Personally, I think corner is another important position, and some people have higher values there than others. I get it, whether you're talking about Andrew Booth, Trent McDuffie, or the hybrid corner safety guys like Dax Hill or Jalen Petre, let alone if a guy like Derek Stingley was to be there at 14. But one thing we can all agree on, and we do know, is that the return of these two guys, Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey, that alone will transform this defense. Pairing these two guys, two experienced veterans, with Marcus Williams is going to dramatically improve the defense against the pass. It's going to create great coverage versatility. Was going to create great coverage and then versatility with the different schemes that you can play. Improved communication pre-snap and then even during the play. And these plays that I'm going to show you here are some of the most impressive, in a lot of ways, unique plays that I think Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey have made as Ravens. So the focus of this video is going to be on Peters and Humphrey. Going to continue to mention them being paired with Marcus Williams as well, because I think you have three extremely experienced, intelligent playmakers on the defensive side of the football. Look, Humphrey's going to be the first guy I focus on. He's just a great football player against the run and the pass. He can even rush the passer and create havoc that way if you need him to, even though I'm not going to show you necessarily clips of him doing that in this video. His ability to force these fumbles is incredibly rare. It shows that he's thinking on another level. Yeah, I know there was no forced fumbles in 2021. I think he had 8 in 2020. So last year in 21 before his injury, no forced fumbles, but that's going to ebb and flow. To me, he's like a home run hitter in that regard. He just got to keep putting the bat on the ball, making solid contact, being available, at the point of attack, wherever the pass is or if they are targeting him, and he will force some fumbles. He's done it against many teams and players. He impacts the game in coverage, whether he's on the outside or as a slot corner. To me, if a guy like Derek Stingley is there, then you draft him immediately, and then you can move Marlon to the inside against those 11 personnel teams. And I know he had trouble with Jamar Chase this season. Look, a lot of other people did too. Marlon is clearly a potentially all-pro corner on the inside or the outside, depending on where he's deployed. I don't think there'll be any loss of explosiveness or ability to make reads and react quickly. And let's be honest, he's made a shit ton of plays against AFC North opponents. The Browns, Bengals, and Steelers, all three have experienced Marlon Humphrey forcing turnovers, Marlon Humphrey getting interceptions, or at least forcing fumbles and impacting the game like these two here against Cleveland in 2020. I think that teams are going to have a higher level of apprehension throwing the ball against Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Peters, and with Marcus Williams sitting back there in the middle of the field, free safety. Whoever we have as that third corner is going to be the guy that's most heavily targeted, if you ask me. One thing to mention that I really noticed last season, especially in that Week 7 loss to Cincinnati, was he just keeps playing football. He does keep competing. Now Jamar Chase had 201 yards against the Ravens, so he tore us up. And he tore up Marlon Humphrey in a lot of situations. He absolutely did. Marlon did have a forced fumble on Jamar Chase and an interception in the end zone in the second half. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe one of those was in the second quarter, but I don't think so. As I recall, the Bengals offense really got rolling in that third quarter when they primarily went to 11 personnel. Marlon did make 2 plays in the second half. Not saying that he shut Jamar Chase out. He certainly did not. Point is, he's a competitor. He's going to continue to attempt to make plays regardless of what the score is and regardless of how he's been beat already. One thing that's worth mentioning as you see some of these clips run is, and it's interesting with both of those guys returning, is how much Humphrey and Peters have tormented the Bengals in their careers. Now, yeah, 2021 Bengals team that made it to the Super Bowl, and then this upcoming team is going to be drastically different than the teams in 19 and 20. They absolutely are. But when you have multiple ball hawks on the field together, the element of danger exists in every decision about where to throw the football. Humphrey and Marcus Peters will bring that dynamic back with them this season, and then adding Marcus Williams to the mix, I think, is going to drastically change the dynamic of how the Ravens and Bengals relate to each other in terms of our defense against their offense. Now, so let me make a comment to make sure people understand what I'm saying. Clearly, the relationship from 2018 to 2020 in terms of the Ravens bullying the Bengals, that relationship is gone. It's over. Those days are gone. Some of these plays that you're seeing from Humphrey and Marcus Peters against the Bengals, they might as well be from a different era, really. Burrow and Chase have changed the balance that much. But I also have to point out the 2021 matchups where the Bengals blew the doors off the Ravens, those will never happen again either in terms of talent differential. Humphrey and Peters return, and then the signing of Marcus Williams along with at least one healthy running back, if not two, and Gus and J.K. and whoever else the Ravens draft, the outside linebacker or D-tackle corner, I offer you that you'll never see that again either, on either side. The 2022 matchups, in my opinion, will determine the AFC North. That's my opinion. All things being equal, I know the Bengals' schedule is supposedly much more difficult than the Ravens, but these collisions in 2022 will not resemble in any way, shape, or form 2018 to 20 blowouts in favor of the Ravens and the 2021 beatdowns against the decimated Ravens roster. It'll be somewhere in between, and I think both teams will have to make adjustments. Anyway, let's move to the highlights of Marcus Peters, who to me is just a coverage savant. He's a thinking man's corner, if you ask me. Clearly, it's been well documented that he baits quarterbacks into throwing the football. Now, once you have dealt with someone like that 2 or 3 times, it's very similar to basketball. A person who has the ability to burst into a passing lane that you thought was there. I used to play point guard for a number of years, so there's passing lanes that you think are there, and then a person with really long arms and some explosiveness is able to get into that passing lane and maybe get a steal. Once you've dealt with that 2 or 3 times, then you can adjust. You can. However, what it does is it creates indecision in your mind. Is that person really open or not? Here's an interception that's a little bit overthrown. Heavy pressure by the Ravens. Marcus Peters, great ball skills, that goes without saying. He's going to impact this year's Ravens defense, in my opinion, probably more than Marlon Humphrey is. And that is no disrespect to Marlon Humphrey at all. What Peters can do in situations like this is 2019 in Seattle, this pick 6 he had against Russell Wilson. He understands route concepts. He's got 3 receivers to his side, and he understands the route concepts that are there based upon a particular read. He quickly identifies number 1 as running a hitch or just a short stop route, and he understands, I don't have to worry about this. Let me get off, and let me help out with this number 2 guy. This is basically one of the Patriots' staple plays against man free. I think Marcus Peters has a tremendous awareness level that is probably elite among the elite. He ends up playing in that area there that I have spot shadowed in between the 2 routes that develop. The deeper, fade go by the number 2 receiver and the little short stop hitch route by number 1. And once Russell Wilson comes back to the hitch, it's an easy pick 6 for him. He creates situations like this, and I guarantee you some of those concepts, Russell Wilson would never run at him again. Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson, all of those guys have experienced what it's like to deal with Marcus Peters. I know that his reputation is as a great man-to-man defender, and I'm not disputing that at all. I think he is incredibly gifted in zone defense at understanding space and doing what I think Marcus Williams does as a free safety too, which is fitting between 2 routes. Here you have a somewhat similar concept to the Seattle play I showed you, and in this, I call it smash. In this case, he's able to play the deeper route along the sideline and get that interception too. Pretty similar concept to the Seattle one, except he's able to defend both of those because he plays in between the concepts. A man-to-man coverage here initially. He's able to come off of this guy in motion who, again, is sitting up in the flats. Marcus Peters is willing to give up catches short in order to, I guess, quote, cheat and be able to play in passing lanes where he should not be present. It's a rare combination of athleticism, length, anticipation, probably really intense film study, and then recognition pre-snap of what's going on. There are not too many people like Marcus Peters out there. It's not something that I think you can teach. If you have it, you kind of have it. Especially once you get to the NFL level, I just don't think it's something that you can teach. Finally, him and Humphrey returning, in my opinion, also emboldens the rest of the roster. They have confidence in these guys. They have made plays that's on film in the NFL. I really don't think it can be overstated how much of an impact these two guys are going to have. Marcus Peters is willing to take chances, like here. He took a little bit of a chance, possibly, drawing a pass interference call, who knows, to finish the game here against Tennessee. He's a home run hitter. Marcus Peters is a home run hitter on the football field when you throw at him. Even when you throw to his side of the field, as I've shown you with some of those plays against Seattle, against Houston, against the Rams, Marcus Peters is able to get involved in things that he should not be able to do so. I offer to you that the Ravens have already made two unbelievable pickups for the 2022 season with the return of Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters. Whoever we get in the defensive backfield in the draft is only going to supplement that. That position group just went from being one of the worst in the league at the end of the 2021 regular season to possibly being one of the top 5 in the entire league. Let me know what you guys think of the film study and my thoughts on the return of Humphrey and Peters.